Two men retire with exactly $1 million. Same portfolio. Same year. One lives on $3,333 a month and watches his savings shrink. The other pulls in $6,500 a month and never worries. Same net worth, completely different retirements. The difference comes down to 4 decisions most people don't even know they're making. For decades, $1 million has been the retirement finish line, the number that means you made it, the thing people put on vision boards and late-night what-if calculators. But in 2026, that number doesn't give you $1 million to spend. It gives you a monthly income, and that monthly income depends entirely on what you do with it. Today, we're breaking down exactly what a $1 million portfolio pays you every single month, the real math, the hidden forces working against it, and then the 4 levers that separate a retirement that barely gets by from one that actually works. Because by the end of this video, you'll understand something most people don't figure out until they're already retired. The million was never the plan. The decisions around it were. Before we get into the math, let's clear up a distinction that trips people up constantly. Net worth is not the same as investable assets. Your net worth is everything you own minus everything you owe. For most Americans, the biggest asset in that equation is their home. So if your house is worth $700,000 and you have $300,000 in retirement accounts, you're technically a millionaire. But your home equity doesn't pay the electric bill. It doesn't buy groceries. Unless you sell or rent it, that wealth is locked up. The money that actually funds your retirement is your investable portfolio, the stocks, bonds, and savings you can draw from. That's the number that matters here. So let's make this real. Meet Mark. He's 65, just retired, and has $1 million in investable assets, a diversified portfolio of stocks and bonds. The question is simple. How much can he pull out each year without running dry? This is where the most widely referenced rule in retirement planning comes in. It's called the 4% rule, and it comes from a landmark piece of research known as the Trinity Study. Researchers analysed decades of market data and found that retirees who withdrew 4% of their portfolio annually had a strong historical probability of not outliving their money across a 30-year retirement. So let's do the math. 4% of $1 million is $40,000 a year. Divide that by 12 and you get $3,333 a month. And that's before taxes. If Mark is withdrawing from a traditional 401k or IRA, those withdrawals are taxed as ordinary income. Depending on his situation, he could lose 15 to 20% right off the top, bringing his take-home closer to $2,700 to $2,800 a month. Let that land. $1 million, the goal, the milestone, the decade of sacrifice, translates to roughly $2,700 to $3,333 a month in real spendable income from the portfolio alone. But here's the part most people miss, and it's the part that changes everything. That income doesn't stay the same. Something is quietly working against it. Think of that monthly income like an ice cube sitting on a warm counter. It doesn't disappear overnight. It melts slowly, year by year, and the force doing the melting is inflation. At a 3% annual inflation rate, roughly the long-term historical average, the purchasing power of $3,333 shrinks to about $2,470 in 10 years. Same dollar amount, meaningfully less life. In 2026, the average American household spends around $6,500 a month. Mark's portfolio income covers roughly half of that. That sounds alarming, but here's something critical to remember. Mark's $1 million isn't sitting in a savings account losing value. It's still invested. Even while he's withdrawing each month, the remaining balance is still in the market, still growing, still compounding. In a good year, the portfolio's growth can outpace what he's pulling out. That's the entire reason the 4% rule works. You're not draining a bucket. You're drawing from a well that keeps refilling. There is one risk to be aware of, though. If the market drops sharply in the first few years of retirement, what's known as sequence of returns risk, withdrawing from a shrinking portfolio can do lasting damage. That's why the withdrawal strategy you choose matters enormously. We'll get to that. But first, the portfolio is only one piece of the picture, and the full picture changes everything. Mark's portfolio isn't his only source of income. It's one layer of what retirement planners call the income stack. And understanding the full stack is what separates a stressful retirement from a stable one. For most Americans, the biggest second layer is Social Security. The average benefit for a retired worker in 2026 is roughly $2,000 a month. If Mark waited until his full retirement age of 67, he might collect closer to $2,200. Add that to his $3,333 portfolio withdrawal, and Mark is looking at roughly $5,500 a month. That's $66,000 a year. But the income stack can go further. Take pensions. If Mark spent 25 years as a state employee or a teacher, he could be collecting $1,500 a month or more in pension income, guaranteed for life. That single layer pushes his monthly total to nearly $7,000 without touching a dollar more of his portfolio. Not everyone has a pension, but the principle still holds. Every additional income layer changes the math. Rental income from a property generating $1,000 a month. A dividend portfolio quietly depositing cash every quarter. Part-time consulting or freelance work adding $500 to $1,000 a month. Even a small online business. Mark, with just his portfolio and Social Security, is at $5,500 a month. Mark, with an additional $800 from a rental property, is at $6,300. That extra layer isn't luxury, it's margin. It's the difference between a budget that's tight and a plan that breathes. And this is the critical reframe. Asking, is $1 million enough, is the wrong question. The right question is, what does my total income stack look like? The portfolio is the foundation. The more layers you stack on top of it, the less it has to carry. If this reframe just shifted how you think about retirement, hit like and subscribe. It helps more people move past the $1 million myth. And drop a comment. How many layers does your income stack have right now? 1, 2, 0? I read every single one. So what actually determines how far $1 million takes someone like Mark? 4 levers. And most people only think about one of them. Lever 1, retirement age. This single variable moves the needle more than almost anything else. And it works in both directions. Someone who retires at 55 through aggressive saving needs that portfolio to last 35 to 40 years, which demands a much more conservative withdrawal rate. Meanwhile, someone who works until 70 only needs a 20-year runway, which supports meaningfully higher monthly income from the exact same balance. If Mark works part-time from 65 to 68 and delays drawing from his portfolio, that's 3 extra years of compounding and 3 fewer years of withdrawals. That can mean thousands more per month from the exact same portfolio. Lever 2, Social Security timing. This is arguably the most underused tool in retirement income planning. Your full retirement age, for anyone born 1960 or later, is 67. That's when you receive 100% of your benefit. But you don't have to claim at 67. Claim early at 62 and you receive roughly 70% of your full benefit. Wait until 70, the maximum, and you collect 124%. On a $2,000 full benefit, that's the difference between $1,400 at 62 and $2,480 at 70, every single month for the rest of your life. And because Social Security adjusts for inflation, that gap compounds in your favour over time. For Mark, the difference between claiming early and waiting could be over $1,000 a month, permanently. Lever 3, withdrawal strategy. The 4% rule is a starting point, not a law carved in stone. Research shows that actual retirement spending follows what's called the retirement spending smile. Higher in the early, active years, lower in the quieter middle years, then higher again at the end when healthcare costs rise. A rigid 4% from day one doesn't reflect how people actually live, and it doesn't protect against sequence of returns risk in a down market. A smarter approach adjusts withdrawals based on your life stage, your actual spending, and how the portfolio is performing that year. Lever 4, income stack diversity. This is the lever most people overlook entirely, and it's the one you have the most creative control over. Every additional income stream you build before or during retirement reduces the pressure on your portfolio. A pension covers your baseline, a rental property covers your housing, a part-time gig covers your travel. The more layers in your stack, the less your portfolio has to do, and the longer it lasts. Most people retire having pulled one of these levers, maybe 2. The ones who pull all 4, they're playing a completely different game. The levers you pull, and where you pull them, change everything. So let's come back to Mark. He started this journey staring at $3,333 a month and wondering if $1 million was even enough. But look at what happens when he works all 4 levers. He delays full retirement by 2 years, doing part-time consulting he enjoys. He waits until 68 to claim Social Security, bumping his monthly benefit well above average. He uses a flexible withdrawal plan instead of a rigid 4% from day one. And the rental property he bought 10 years ago adds another $800 a month. Now Mark isn't living on $3,333. He's pulling in closer to $6,500 with lower portfolio stress, a larger Social Security check, an extra income stream, and a spending plan that adapts as his life changes. Same $1 million, completely different retirement. That's the insight most people never get until they're already standing at the finish line. They spend decades in accumulation mode, watching the balance grow, chasing the milestone, and then they cross it and realize nobody taught them the second game. Accumulation is about building the pile. Retirement income is about converting that pile into a paycheck that lasts longer than you do. It's a different skill entirely, and the good news is, it's learnable. Every lever is in your control. $1 million was never the finish line. It was always the starting point of a smarter conversation about your income stack, your 4 levers, and the life you're actually designing. And now you know what that conversation looks like. If this video changed how you see that $1 million number,